January 14, 2024. Hodeidah region, Yemen. At 2 a.m., calm Red Sea waters lit up with fire. A missile capable of sinking a billion-dollar U.S. warship streaked across the darkness. It was a Houthi-modified Iranian-modified, screaming at 3.4 kilometers per second, with a 186-mile range, GPS guidance, and a 150-meter margin of error. It locked onto the USS Laboon, a 510-foot Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, powered by 4 gas turbines, holding 450,000 gallons of fuel, and capable of more than 30 knots. Within hours, American FA-18s, guided by satellites and carrier intelligence, would launch precision strikes against Houthi missile sites and command bunkers. But before that response could begin, the Laboon first had to survive. Would the missile break through its defenses? And how swiftly would America strike back to remind the world why the U.S. Navy dominates the seas? Join us as we uncover the technology, the decisions, and the courage that decide the outcome. January 2nd, 2024. Weeks before the Red Sea incident, a tense skirmish unfolded near the Yemeni coast.
In the Red Sea, reports of fresh sabotage to the undersea cables have surfaced. 2 crucial undersea...
A Houthi-launched missile struck a U.S. vessel, but the attack failed. 19 lives were lost in the chaos, and the Houthis' desperation became clear. Commanders in Washington and Riyadh monitored the event closely, a signal that the group was testing limits, eager to show capability despite heavy risks. The Houthis are Iranian-backed, their arsenal growing steadily with support from Tehran, yet their technology remains limited. Missiles must be launched close to the coastline, hidden near civilian areas, making them highly vulnerable to U.S. reconnaissance. To compensate, the Houthis deploy drones for targeting and early warning, but these have limited range and are easily tracked by satellite or Hawkeye aircraft. The weapon of choice for the Red Sea strike was a modified Iranian Khorramshahr, capable of speeds up to 3.4 kilometers per second. It's GPS-guided, programmed for a terminal high-dive attack to maximize impact. But the design carries a critical flaw. Even a 0.5-degree navigation error at launch could send it wildly off course. Meanwhile, the USS Laboon had been sailing in a low-profile trailshaft mode to conserve fuel. Only one of its 4 gas turbines was online, pushing the massive 510-foot destroyer at a slow 3 knots. Its crew relied on sensors, satellite feeds, and cooperative engagement networks to watch the horizon, but the slow speed and minimal power made them vulnerable if an attack came. The combination of desperate Houthis, high-speed missiles, and a slow-moving U.S. destroyer created the perfect storm. Every detail — launch timing, missile speed, navigation drift, ship speed, and crew alertness — would determine life or death. But amid all these calculations, one tiny error, a miscalculation, a timing slip, or a slight deviation would set off a chain reaction that no one fully anticipated. This background sets the stage: a group learning, a missile capable of destruction, a slow-moving target, and the deadly calculus of war. What seems like a simple strike is actually a high-stakes test of technology, strategy, and human decision-making, one that will soon reach its climax in the dark waters off Hodeidah. The perfect storm is forming, but would the Houthis' gamble pay off, or would it backfire in spectacular fashion? The answer will unfold in the hours to come. 2 a.m., January 14, 2024. The USS Laboon cut through the inky waters of the Red Sea, engines humming at a quiet 3 knots.
USS Laboon will return to Naval Station Norfolk tomorrow. The destroyer deployed 9 months ago.
The crew was nearly asleep, the ship's massive silhouette drifting like a shadow beneath a sky scattered with stars. On the horizon, nothing appeared out of the ordinary, until the radar officer noticed a faint blip, moving fast, far faster than any ship or plane normally seen in these waters. At first, it seemed like a sensor glitch. The contact was 200 miles away, and the ship's radars had yet to lock onto it. Panic hadn't set in yet, but 3 minutes later at 2:03 a.m., the E-2D Hawkeye, orbiting at 27,000 feet some 50 miles from the Laboon, identified the blip for what it was: a Houthi-modified Khorramshahr missile, streaking toward them at 3.4 kilometers per second. The Cooperative Engagement Capability System instantly transmitted the missile's trajectory and coordinates to the Laboon, piercing the ship's radar blind spots. Every second counted. The missile's GPS-guided path was programmed for a terminal high-dive attack, designed to pierce the deck and cause catastrophic damage. But even in this tense moment, a tiny 0.5 degrees navigation error would prove decisive. The SPY radar of the Laboon began picking up the missile as it approached, the warhead descending at a terrifying angle. Officers barked orders, crews manned stations, and the ship's engineering team scrambled to bring the turbines online. In 90 heart-pounding seconds, the destroyer accelerated from 3 knots to over 30, the massive hull throwing up sheets of water as it raced to evade. From the command deck, officers watched as calculations streamed in: distance, velocity, bearing, impact probability. The missile was closing fast, yet the combination of the Laboon's sudden acceleration and that slight navigation drift turned what could have been a direct hit into a near miss. When the missile impacted the water, it exploded 12.5 miles away from the ship, sending a towering column of fire and water skyward. The sea trembled, but the destroyer remained intact. Despite the relief, the crew knew the danger wasn't over. Data from the missile's trajectory gave the U.S. Navy precise coordinates for the launch site somewhere along the Hodeida coast. Satellite images, drones, and reconnaissance jets would now have the chance to track the Houthis' positions, but the coastal terrain was riddled with bunkers, civilian structures, and hidden launch points. Every move forward would require precision, speed, and nerves of steel. The first salvo had failed, but the game was far from over. The Houthis had revealed their hand, and the U.S. Navy now held the map to their hidden weapons. The next hours would test everything: coordination, technology, and timing. Could the U.S. strike back before another missile was fired? Or would the Houthis find another way to catch the Laboon off guard? 03 a.m., January 14, 2024. The Red Sea hung in a heavy, misted silence, moonlight barely reflecting off the restless waves. Above the Hodeida coastline, the E-2D Hawkeye swept tirelessly, its radar slicing through darkness.
62 multi-mission E-2D Advanced Hawkeye Airborne Early Warning Command Control and Surveillance Aircraft.
From 27,000 feet, the aircraft's sensors detected subtle movements. 4 Houthi drones hovering like metallic vultures, scouting for any American retaliation. Each drone represented a threat of danger. One mistake could endanger nearby civilian areas. The stakes were razor sharp. The USS Laboon's command team keyed in coordinates relayed from the KH-11 satellite orbiting 500 kilometers overhead. Its sensors combined infrared, optical, and radar overlays, identifying every bunker, radar array, and vehicle. Targets were meticulously prioritized. The earlier Houthi missile had nearly ended the destroyer. Now, America's response would be deliberate, surgical, and devastating. 3:10 a.m. Engines screamed to life. 2 FA-18 Hornets lifted off from the carrier stationed 75 miles east, afterburners carving arcs through the pre-dawn sky. Moments later, 2 more joined the formation. Each carried GBU-31 bunker busters, 2,000-pound penetrators, 550 pounds of high explosive, encased in 1-inch thick steel, delayed fuse set at 70 milliseconds for maximum penetration. Each munition had been calibrated to destroy hardened targets while minimizing civilian casualties. Every calculation, every variable, was accounted for. As the jets approached Yemen, ALR-67 receivers picked up faint emissions from a Houthi-1S-91 radar, hidden among civilian buildings. Its operators were unaware that their own signals betrayed them. The radar, crucial to guide any follow-up strikes, was now the second priority. ATFLIR pods provided real-time visual confirmation, scanning targets in high-resolution infrared. Every civilian's presence had to be accounted for. One misstep could turn precision into tragedy. Target assignments were methodical. Aircraft 1, the primary missile launcher, partially underground in a reinforced 6-foot air raid shelter. Aircraft 2, the radar system threatening U.S. air assets. Aircraft 3, a command bunker 2 miles inland, concealed in a coastal ravine. Aircraft 4, a backup UAV launch pad, transmitting critical surveillance data back to the Houthis. Precision, coordination, and timing were everything. The Houthis, anticipating retaliation, rolled their missile launcher out of its reinforced shelter. Metallic and glinting under moonlight, it seemed bold, almost defiant, unaware that satellites, drones, and the Hawkeye overhead monitored every movement. In mere moments, American pilots would strike, a chain reaction set to crush their operational capabilities. 03:15 a.m. Aircraft 1 releases its GBU-31. The penetrator tears through reinforced concrete and steel, detonation delayed to ensure full penetration. Dust, fire, and twisted steel erupt outward, burying the launcher in molten debris. A victory, absolute in its precision. 03:17 a.m. Aircraft 2 dives low on the 1S-91 radar installation. Precision lasers trace the antenna arrays. A single release collapses the radar tower. Sparks ignite as electronics melt into molten ruin. The Houthis' ability to track subsequent strikes is eliminated in an instant. 03:18 a.m. Aircraft 3 approaches the command bunker. Camouflaged nearly invisibly from the air, satellite coordinates allowed targeting within 3 meters. The delayed fuse penetrator detonates within the cave-like structure, collapsing the command hub. Radio chatter silences instantly. The command team has seconds to react. Simultaneously, Aircraft 4 arcs toward the backup UAV launch pad. A secondary strike ensures the drones, previously surveying U.S. movements, are neutralized before transmitting warning signals. Metal and wiring scatter across the sand. Surveillance capability gone. As explosions rock the Hodeidah coast, telemetry streams back to the USS Laboon and command centers across the Gulf. Every detonation, every collapse is verified in real time. Officers watch the operation unfold like a high-stakes chess match. Every strike deliberate, every move calculated. Danger is never fully gone. Drone operators trained for evasive action scatter into hidden compounds. Mobile launchers attempt to relocate. Camouflaged trucks vanish into wadis. Signals from nearby radar arrays flicker as attempts to reboot. U.S. pilots know secondary targets and human operators may regroup, rearm, and retaliate. The Red Sea is a dangerous chessboard and the game is not over.
Their war against Israel to new explosive heights, a conflict that now stretches from the Red Sea's depths to the halls of the United Nations.
03:25 a.m. A secondary strike is called on a mobile launcher spotted fleeing toward a wadi. Precision munitions descend, sand and rock erupting hundreds of feet into the air, obliterating any chance of an immediate counterattack. At the Laboon Command Center, analysts track 4 separate flight paths of Houthi drones attempting escape. Electronic warfare countermeasures intercept them. Jammers scramble signals. Sensors feed false locations, forcing 2 drones to crash land in remote areas. By 3:30 a.m., the operation reaches its apex. 4 primary targets destroyed, UAVs neutralized, radar offline, command bunker obliterated. Pilots circle back toward the carrier, senses still alert. The Red Sea remains tense, the scent of smoke and sand drifting along the coast. Each strike had been calculated to minimize civilian casualties. ATFLIR pods confirmed no nearby homes were in harm's way. Yet the stakes were high. One miscalculation, a wrong coordinate, delayed detonation, or misidentified target could have escalated into a disaster. The Houthis' network of launchers, radar sites, and command centers lay in ruin. The U.S. Navy knew the fight was not entirely over. Surviving operators could hide, mobile units might relocate, and renewed aggression could occur under night's cover. The battle was decisive, but vigilance remained critical. 03:35 a.m. Back on the Laboon, officers review strike data. Telemetry confirms all 4 targets neutralized. Satellite imagery validates destruction of launch shelters, bunkers, and radar arrays. The crew exhales collectively, though tension lingers. Precision, timing, and coordination had averted disaster by mere minutes, while delivering a crippling blow to Houthi capabilities. The Red Sea, once calm, now hid the remnants of Houthi threats. Smoke plumes marked destroyed bunkers. Scattered operators and improvised launch sites remain potential hazards. The battle had been won, but the war of attrition continues. Every ship, drone, and jet remains alert, aware of what a single missile could nearly achieve. From the pilot's perspective, the strike was cinematic. High-speed dives, precision releases, explosions captured in real-time feeds. From the Laboon, it was a nerve-wracking display of technology and coordination, proof that seconds, inches, and human reflexes decide life or death. The first salvo had failed, the second ensured dominance. The Houthis had underestimated the U.S. Navy's precision strike capabilities. In just 35 minutes, an offensive that could have crippled a destroyer became a total loss for them. Yet tension remains. Operators know the Red Sea's waters are unforgiving. Another missile, another challenge could appear at any moment. 03:40 a.m. Jets return to the carrier, turbine exhaust trailing in the pre-dawn sky. Debrief begins before wheels touch the deck. Analysts confirm 4 targets destroyed, 4 UAVs downed, radar and command disrupted, mobile launchers neutralized. The operation is a textbook display of combined arms, precision strikes, and real-time intelligence executed with military artistry. The big battle had ended. For now, Houthis' missile capabilities were decimated, their command infrastructure crippled, drones rendered ineffective. Operators and analysts alike know the Red Sea is far from safe. Victory was measured not only in explosions and destroyed bunkers, but in survival, averting catastrophe, and securing dominance over a critical maritime choke point. Every second, every meter, Every explosion had been documented and relayed to ensure maximum impact and safety. With primary threats neutralized, attention now turns to lingering operators, hidden caches, and remaining drones. What happened to them? 03:45 a.m., January 14, 2024. The USS Abraham Lincoln, stationed 75 miles northeast, receives the first live feeds from the FA-18. Battle Damage Assessment. BD-A teams huddle over grainy infrared images and satellite overlays.
Abraham Lincoln. It has about 80 combat aircrafts ready to fly to any location.
Every frame tells the story. The Houthi missile launcher bunker is reduced to rubble, the 1S-91 radar installation smolders in silence, and the coastal command bunker has collapsed, its cave entrance barely recognizable. 4 UAVs, airborne minutes earlier, were intercepted mid-flight. Charred fragments drift over the coastline, proof of a perfectly timed strike. On the USS Laboon's deck, crew members struggle to catch their breath. Adrenaline still pumps through their veins. Earlier, a Houthi missile that could have crippled the ship missed its target by mere meters. Officers tally every critical detail: distance covered during emergency maneuvers, fuel consumption, time elapsed, missiles fired, and seconds gained under extreme pressure. Precision, coordination, and a fraction of luck had made survival possible. Meanwhile, in Yemen, chaos reigns. Houthi operators are trapped. The command bunker's destruction has severed communications. Fighters on the ground are disoriented. Panic spreads through remaining teams as they scramble to assess losses and regroup. One operator clings to a damaged radio, shouting instructions to no one, a haunting image of desperation and confusion. Concrete numbers underscore the scale: 1 missile launcher destroyed, 1 radar station neutralized, 1 command bunker obliterated, and 4 UAVs eliminated. The Houthis' missile threat, once imminent and deadly, is now crippled. Their ability to coordinate a follow-up strike is gone. The human cost is immediate and stark. Every decision made in seconds carried life or death consequences. FA-18 pilots risked interception by small arms, anti-air systems, and unpredictable drones. Laboon's crew operated under extreme stress, knowing one error could mean catastrophe. Their focus, training, and split-second coordination ensured success, but the memory of how close disaster came lingers. January 15, 2024. Dawn breaks over the Red Sea, yet aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, the intelligence center is still buzzing with activity.
Red Sea after a container ship issued a distress call saying it was under attack by Iran-backed Houthi militants in 4.
Analysts sift through satellite imagery, drone footage, and signals intercepts from the previous night. The findings are stark. The Houthis' morale has collapsed. Confusion reigns among fighters, and Iranian advisors, who had been quietly directing operations, scramble to reassess their strategy. The destruction of the missile launcher, radar station, and command bunker has created a temporary operational vacuum, forcing fighters to retreat into the rugged mountains around Hodeidah. The financial toll is significant. The missile launcher alone is valued at over $2 million, the radar installation another $4 million, and the command bunker, complete with communications gear, an estimated $1.5 million. 4 UAVs, lost in mid-air strikes, each cost roughly $250,000. In total, the Houthis lost nearly $8 million in hardware overnight. But the human cost is more sobering. At least 15 operators, including engineers and missile crews, are believed killed or incapacitated, and dozens more are scattered, disoriented, and cut off from command. By midday, the Red Sea shipping lanes are alive with U.S. patrols. Drones hover above the waves, satellites sweep overhead, and every movement is tracked in real time. Merchant vessels are warned to avoid conflict zones, and naval ships maintain overlapping coverage patterns, ensuring that no Houthi resupply or covert operation can regain momentum. Even small fishing boats are scanned. Safety is balanced against operational necessity, a tension that underscores the stakes. The geopolitical message is unmistakable. A single, coordinated strike executed with surgical precision has sent a warning across the region. The U.S. Navy and Air Force maintain unchallenged superiority in maritime and aerial warfare. Other regional actors, state-backed militias, hostile governments, and rebel groups, take note. Miscalculations here can mean millions of dollars lost and dozens of lives sacrificed in an instant. The Red Sea, a critical artery for global trade, will not tolerate recklessness. For the Houthis, the psychological blow is severe. UAVs intended for reconnaissance failed to provide timely intelligence. Missile systems, previously feared, were detected and neutralized before a second strike could occur. Morale has shattered. Trust in Iranian guidance is questioned. In guerrilla warfare, morale can be as lethal as firepower, and last night's events underscored this brutally. Every lost operator, every failed launch, every destroyed drone chips away at cohesion and confidence. Strategically, the engagement highlights a stark truth. Even a tiny error, a fraction of a degree in a missile's trajectory, can determine who survives and who perishes, who strikes next and who retreats. Precision, timing, and coordination dictated the outcome. The Red Sea, with its narrow channels and dense trade routes, remains a volatile theater where high-tech warfare and human error collide. As the sun dips over the Gulf of Aden, the waters appear deceptively calm. Yet beneath the surface, every vessel, drone, and sensor is part of an invisible chess game. Victory in this battle was decisive, but dominance here is fleeting. The Houthis may regroup, adapt, and strike again, using mobility, terrain, and improvisation. Every patrol, every satellite sweep, every FA-18 sortie is a reminder that control over these waters is temporary and must be constantly enforced. While one battle was decisively won, the Red Sea remains a place where one mistake can cost hundreds of lives, and the stakes are never far from deadly. As the dust settled, the operation is a stark reminder that in modern warfare, the difference between life and death often comes down to coordination, timing, and the smallest miscalculation. A single error in a missile's path can save hundreds of lives, while precision and planning ensure victory against a determined, resourceful enemy. But the story is far from over. Could the Houthis rebuild their missile program and strike again? Or will the overwhelming presence and reach of the U.S. Navy keep the Red Sea under control? Every patrol, every satellite pass, and every sortie is a continuation of this high-stakes chess game. If you want to see more real-life naval confrontations and how strategy, technology, and split-second decisions shape the outcome, join us on the next mission. Subscribe to our channel. The seas are dangerous, and history shows they'll never stay quiet for long.